Before there was blitzkrieg, there was simply the shadow of a man. Before there was the art of war, there was the art of the slaughterhouse. This is not a story of a battle. This is a story of a trap. And for one afternoon in 216 BC, Rome was the prey. His name was Hannibal Barca, a name whispered like a curse in the Roman Senate, a phantom who had crossed the impossible mountains, a scourge who had already humiliated the legions twice on their own soil. And now on the dusty plains of Cannae, he stood with his tired, outnumbered army of mercenaries, Gauls, Iberians, Numidians, Africans, and facing him was the full, furious might of Rome. 8 legions, a force so massive the earth shook with their march. They were there for one reason: to crush this madman, to end this nightmare. They expected a battle. Hannibal was about to give them a masterpiece. But where did such genius come from? Not from a god, but from a teacher. Hannibal's father, Hamilcar, a brilliant general himself, had seeded this hatred. But Hannibal's tactics were born from something else: a deep, almost mathematical understanding of human weakness. He didn't see armies, he saw systems, he saw pressure points, and he understood the Roman mind better than the Romans did. Their pride, their relentless, straightforward aggression, it was their greatest strength, and he would make it their absolute final weakness. Imagine you are a Roman legionary. The sun is blinding. You see the enemy's center, those wild Gauls. They look thin, weak. Your commanders see it too. The order is given. The great Roman machine begins to advance. A slow, then relentless tide of iron and flesh. This is what you know. This is how you win. You push, you break, you win. Now, imagine you are Hannibal. You see the Roman beast lumbering toward your intentionally weak center. You raise your hand. Your center is ordered not to hold, but to yield, to slowly, deliberately retreat. The Romans feel victory. They smell it. They drive forward deeper and deeper, but they don't realize they are not breaking the enemy line. They are being swallowed by it. The Carthaginian line is no longer a line. It is becoming a crescent, a smile of death. And Hannibal stands at the very center of it, controlling the retreat like a conductor, his face a mask of calm intensity. The trap is now sprung. The jaws are open, but the teeth have yet to bite.
While the Roman infantry was focused on the center, the true hammer blows fell on the wings. Hannibal's cavalry strikes like a thunderbolt. The Roman horse is annihilated. And instead of chasing fleeing stragglers, they do something unprecedented. They wheel around. They disappear in a cloud of dust. They are moving to the rear. This is the moment. The perfect moment. The Romans stop advancing. The cheering dies in their throats. They look to the front. They fleeing Gauls have stopped and turned, their faces now set in grim determination. They look to the sides. The hidden Libyan veterans are crashing into their flanks, their armor gleaming. They look behind them, and they see the nightmare. Hannibal's cavalry has sealed the tomb. 80,000 men are now trapped in a pocket of flesh and iron that begins to shrink. This was not a battle anymore. It was a massacre, an execution. The Romans were packed together, suffocating under their own weight. Hannibal's men did not need to fight. They simply pressed, and stabbed, and killed. For hours, the air grew thick with the dust of death, the metallic smell of blood, the screams of the dying, and the unending, merciless pressure. What is the emotional cost of such perfect, calculated violence? For the Romans, it was the death of a republic's innocence. An entire generation of fathers, sons, and leaders, over 50,000 men, were left to rot under the Italian sun. But for Hannibal, what did he feel? His strategy was flawless. His victory, absolute. Yet, standing atop that mountain of the dead, he must have understood the weight of his own genius. He had created a perfect machine of death, but in doing so, he had forged an enemy that would never, ever negotiate with him. He won the battle, but in that moment, he may have lost the war. For how do you make peace with a ghost? And how does Rome make peace with the man who created this? Cannae was the peak of a brilliance that could never be sustained. Hannibal would wander Italy for a decade, undefeated in battle, but never repeating the perfect storm of Cannae. Rome refused to break. They learned. They adapted. They adopted his own tactics of maneuver and cunning. The shadow that had fallen over Rome finally faded. The architect of their greatest nightmare died, not on a glorious battlefield, but by his own hand, a lonely exile. The masterpiece was complete. The artist was forgotten. But the ghost of Cannae never truly died. It merely retreated into the textbooks. For centuries, every great general has studied this battle. Schlieffen, Patton, they all sought to replicate the perfect Kesselschlacht, the cauldron battle. Hannibal's shadow stretches across 2 millennia, into the deserts of Iraq and the fields of Ukraine. We are still trying to perfect the art of the perfect trap. It begs a question. Is the highest form of military genius also the most inhuman? To see men not as souls, but as pieces on a board, to be sacrificed for the perfect, bloody checkmate? The grass has grown back. The rivers no longer run red, but stand here, on this quiet earth, and if you listen closely, you can almost hear it. The distant echo of a horn, the thunder of a charge, the silent, mathematical certainty of a nightmare made real. This was Cannae, a lesson in brilliance, a warning in blood. If this story of strategy and sacrifice moved you, if you believe these echoes of history deserve to be heard, then leave a like, subscribe to Legacy Chronicle Hub, and ring the bell for more journeys into the heart of the past. Tell us in the comments, could any general ever achieve a victory so perfect, so terrible, again? And as always, may history never be forgotten.